Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fourth monthly installation of the Teaching and Learning Team for EdTechTeam, our webinars. Tonight we have hacks for the math classroom. Just want to tell you a little bit about EdTechTeam if you're not familiar with us, but we absolutely host the G Suite summits featuring Google for Education and iOS summits, but we also customize professional development for your district. We've got workshops and keynotes that will come into your district and do or present. We also host our very well-known boot camps. We'll come in and do a custom summit just for your teachers if you're interested in that. And we also offer Apple Professional Learning, and you can find all of that at the link at the bottom at EdTechTeam /PD, edtechteam.com/PD, and I'll fix that link. So you will see the URL for all of the resources and slides that we'll be sharing tonight at edtech.team/mathhacks. We have that on every slide, so you'll be able to get it on the next slide too. But I recommend that you enter the slide deck and click that complete this form, because tonight you have a chance live to win a free online course from EdTechTeam. I'd like to start by introducing myself. My name is Lisa Thumann. I organize all of the custom professional development in the United States, and you can follow me at @LThumann on Twitter. I'll be tweeting as well tonight from the @EdTechTeam account. And I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Emily Fitzpatrick. I believe that Emily is frozen, so I'm going to ask John McGowan to introduce himself.
Sure. Hi, I'm John McGowan. I was a math teacher for 15 years, and now I work for TextHelp, I developed GMath, and now I'm working on Equatio. So super excited to talk about how I love to use technology to teach math digitally. I'll toss it back to Emily as well, because she's duplicated herself with a CRISPR to come into.
Yes. So I'm Emily Fitzpatrick. I work up here in Canada, and I'm a part of EdTechTeam Canada. I'm the Director of Professional Development up here. And prior to joining EdTechTeam, I was a classroom teacher, mainly teaching grade 7 through grade 12 up in Orangeville, teaching math, computer science, and English as a second language. Kyle, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, that sounds great. Thanks so much. I'm Kyle Pearce from Greater Essex County District School Board down not too far away from Orangeville in Windsor, Ontario. And I run a website called tapintoteenminds.com, and coming out of the K-12 space, more on the secondary side, and now doing a K-12 consulting role.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm going to kick things off, and we're going to talk about how can we use Google Drawings to have math manipulatives in our classroom. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. So if you're following along at home, if you go in and click on slide 6, you're going to get this short URL up here in the corner. You can also type it in, if you'd like, to your browser. And that's going to take you to our Google Doc, where I'm going to show you some math manipulatives that I've created that work really well when students are using Chromebooks in the math classroom. So I love using Google Drawings for the math manipulatives because I can remember not having enough of one type of manipulative for all of the students in my classroom. So whether it was protractors, and we would photocopy them on transparencies and then cut them out, or rulers, all sorts of different things that we can produce and rapidly produce easily in Google Drawings, and then adding that into Google Classroom and being able to give each student a copy with just a click of a button is super handy to have. Into your own version of this Google Doc, what you're going to see is a whole bunch of these manipulatives based in tables. Now, what I like to do in Google Docs is when you go into Insert, then you can go up to Insert Drawing. And what that does is it inserts a Google Drawing into your Google Doc. So if you double click where the time or the clock is, you get that drawing open. Now what's kind of neat is that this is a standalone version. So when I've put this through Google Classroom, or when each of you have made your own copy of it, it doesn't hold the exact same drawing. It makes each of us our own. So this one, we're using it to tell time, having students practice where do those hands go on an analog clock. And then a shout out to Darren Malte out from Alberta. He helped me hack this a little bit, that he has actually set each of those hands on a different object. So it's just an invisible transparent line. And then down in the corner, he's given us some hints on how to easily rotate them. So if you hold Alt, you can shift that hand around the clock. Or you can hold Alt and Shift, and you go 1 degree. So nice and easy, really simple way of having kind of your own personal clock. When we save and close that, it updates it automatically and holds it. And to make our lives even easier as educators is that if I go right-click and copy this drawing, I can paste it again, and it gives me another version of that drawing. So I could go into my second clock and change that time. So maybe I want them to practice that it's 4:35 p.m. And then when I go save and close, I have those 2 drawings there. I can repeat that as many times as I need. And my students can also do that by right-clicking and copying, or Control-C and Control-V for paste. But now all I have to do is provide my students with one manipulative, and then they can kind of pick and choose which ones that they're going to use. Another one for our elementary teachers hanging out with us tonight is coins. And I have used, whether it's the plastic coins, or I've gone and found my piggy bank and found actual real coins. But depending on the denominations that you're trying to make, you may not have enough coins to share with everybody. But here we can go ahead. So if you double click in on that drawing, you're going to see each of these coins. Now, what you'll notice is that there's only one of them. But if you go Control-D, it duplicates it. And then my students can go ahead and fill in what they need. And now these images were just imported from a Google image search. And I just looked for images with a transparent background, so that you could actually see the coin rather than a coin with a box around it. Other ones, base 10 blocks. They really help students understand kind of what a number is. And these ones, again, just using that Control-D or Command-D if you're on a Mac, but being able to duplicate those and then show that number. Now we're not worried that we only have 8 or 9, 10 blocks, where we actually need like 11 or 12 for the one, or for the group activity that we're working on. Fraction bars, there's that manipulative in there. All of those are based on that one big one. And I can either pick and choose these individual ones and just move them up. Or if I need 2/6, well, I know I need 2 of these green guys. So I can duplicate it twice, move them up. And what you'll notice is that as I'm moving them, you're going to see these red lines. And those red lines are going to show you alignment. In the middle vertically shows me that those 2 are right beside each other. And the red line horizontally shows me that they're in the middle. So when I drop that second piece, they're aligned up. So I could go, oh, maybe it's this guy. Awesome. So my equivalent fraction is also 1/3. Pattern blocks, again, it gives them an opportunity in our Google Drawing Math Manipulative to go ahead and create a picture or have that rough workspace, and then use the rest of that Google Doc to actually explain it. So in this case, they go into this Google Doc. Shout out to Control-Alt-Achieve, who's actually gone in and made these shapes so that they fit perfectly. So you have the exact ratios on there. So they're nice and easy for your students to use. They can go and they can create their own image and then use these other 2 cells in the table to go ahead and further explain that image. And then my favorite from teaching solving equations or factoring or expanding is algebra tiles. And I always struggled with whether it was I forgot to bring in the algebra tiles, or that some students would want to use them, but not all of the students would want to use them, or we didn't have enough kind of those bigger x squares. Allowing students to use those math manipulatives and drawings, being able to reproduce them and make them as big or as small as needed comes in really handy to make sure that your students are able to pick the best tool for the problem without going around and looking for it or wasting time trying to figure out where it is in the classroom. So I'm going to come back to the Hangout. Awesome. So I'm going to throw it back to Lisa. Lisa, any questions from the YouTube chat?
Actually, Emily, not yet, but it is awesome where everybody's responding from. We've got folks from all over the United States, of course, you know, some of your neighbors from Canada, a bunch from Canada, yeah. And everybody's just kind of adding into the chat now where they're from. If you're watching live and you're not in the chat, head over there because there's a whole bunch of us sharing resources. Thanks, Emily.
Love it. Awesome. All right, John, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, go for it.
Awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today is one of my favorite things. Every day I wake up so excited to play with the new build. I want to talk about Equatio. So essentially, I think that digital math is a huge need for us to teach in education. And so Equatio is what essentially my year's worth of work has been so far, which is like, if you knew about GMath, which is my first thing that I did, and I would say my baby, it's kind of grown up into Equatio. So you should go install it right now. If you haven't, it's in the resources there. Just click on this and it'll take you to it. It's a Chrome extension. And so the beautiful part about being a Chrome extension is that we can now actually work the same experience outside of add-ons. So I'll talk a little bit about that today. But one of my favorite things is I love to use Emily's quotes about why do we need to have this digital technology? Why do we need to use digital math? And it's the real, I think, groundbreaking usage for students to be able to communicate their thought process. And so why do we go ahead and build that with Equatio? Essentially, math and STEM has been left behind. I don't know how many times. I love chatting with those English teachers in the classroom next to mine, but I was always feeling left behind because it was hard to type math. And so that's really what I want to do, is make it easy for any student to respond with math digitally in whatever manner they prefer to create and consume their math. And so that's really the approach. We utilize a lot of UDL approach. So I wasn't that familiar with UDL, and now that I think about it, I think it's just good teaching methods. And so we built Equatio on the UDL, which is Universal Design for Learning. And what I love about it is pretty much like a buffet. So however the student wants to respond, great. We're going to give them that option, and Equatio is going to be the bridge to make it digital. So we have some prediction, which I love, handwriting recognition, speech input. So however the student wants to create their math, they can. And then we kind of have a 360-degree cycle where we can read it back out with math to speech, utilizing TextHelp's other flagship product, Read and Write, to read it out. With that prediction components, we're going down a STEM road. So that's also why we're changing the name from GMath to Equatio, is it's no longer just going to be math. And then later on, you'll see it's not going to just only be in Google, which is kind of the hence of the G part. So we're really excited about where this is going to be going in the next year. And over the summer, we're really going to launch a lot of stuff. And just last week, we launched the slides, sheets, and drawings integration. So I'm really excited to demo some of those right now. So really, I'm going to stop talking because my students will tell you that I'm really good at talking, and I'm just going to demo to you. So you can just click on this, and it'll bring you to a copy of a demo slide, a demo doc, where it tells you all about what we can do with those 4 things. But really, I just want to talk about how I think Equatio can change the model of how I use my G Suite as a medium for teaching. So essentially, that it is a Chrome extension now. So it's no longer living up here in the add-on menu. It's great. We're not restricted by the add-ons, and we can do a lot of things I'll show you about in the next few minutes. And so just when I'm in a doc, I just click on a little button. You can see the toolbar comes up on the bottom, the Equatio part. and I have essentially 4 things I can do right now. And so one of them is the equation editor. And so essentially what I think is a really awesome way is this prediction part. So I think there's 3 main components to math understanding. There's like a notational component, what the math notation is. There's also a vocabulary, a new vocabulary that goes along with that. And then the third component, which is the underlying math concept. And a lot of students don't get all 3 of those, so they get hindered. So here, if I have my prediction, I can just start typing the words. So for instance, when I'm teaching a student about square roots, the old way is they'd have to go look for the square root button. So they already have to know what it looks like, which is that notational component. Now they can just start typing SQ, and it'll pop up with all of our math terms, and we'll predict it. So they can see square roots. They might have just seen the teacher write on the board, and they can just start typing the word or start typing what they hear. And then we can, when they hit enter, we can then put in what they, the symbol, so that notation. So they no longer have to have both of those components of knowing the notation and the vocabulary. So that's going to help with that learning process. So then they can just insert it into the document. We do the little magic, we make the math, and then we insert it directly in the doc wherever they are. And so one of the beautiful parts about that is now that it's in my doc, it's that whole collaborative piece as well. So we can build on the beautiful collaboration of the G Suite, which is really what drew me to using it. In addition, it drew me to giving students another medium to be able to communicate in class without having to raise their hand. I had one girl who was a voracious commenter, and she was an awesome collaborator, but you couldn't even hear her voice. She was such a quiet talker. So I love that a student didn't need to know what the square root sign looked like to be able to insert that in. And then with read and write, they can just hit play, and it'll read that back out to them as well.
Square root of 4.
And so that's another great understanding level that they won't need to fully understand that. It just is that feedback cycle. They can see the notation and then hear that square root part, so which helps cement that understanding between vocabulary and notation. So I think from a pedagogical standpoint, that's what I'm really excited about with Equatio, allowing students to put their thoughts down digitally without perhaps having a full understanding of the entire concept. And then they can start talking about what does a square root mean mathematically. And so I think that is a really great way to do that. Another thing I will highlight with Read and Write is I love this voice note. So I can click on this and then leave a voice note. Maybe don't forget that the square root, when you take it, sometimes the plus and negatives. And so then I can insert that as a comment. So I've done that as for students as well, to give like some instructions that might be optional, or also to allow them to, I might say something like, plan out your solution process verbally first and then go ahead and solve. And so that's just a comment down here that they can use or lose. And so I love that component to give a verbal comment. It's also great for students who only want to give a verbal response, because I've had so many students who I'll say, okay, how would you start? They tell me what they would do, and I say, great, what's the next step? And they can verbally tell me, but they have difficulty going from that verbal representation down to the written part. So they can then leave a verbal response, and I can take that as, you know, some sort of assessment there, because I'll have a written, and then leave a voice note. Maybe I can have a verbal record of them explaining what they're going to do, or telling what their solution process is going to be, and then they can go ahead and use Equatio to do that. Some of the other parts of Equatio is a handwriting recognition. I'll show that a little later in my forms part, but I can literally just handwrite using my mouse or a touch screen, and it'll recognize as we go. It doesn't like my X's, it always does it as a time sign. But I'm really also excited by the speech component. So we have a speech input, so a student can verbally just say square root of 4, and then we will filter that out and allow them to recognize that. So then it can insert that. So they can literally go from just saying something, and then we represent the math and we can insert it and have it be read back out. So it's really a new, I think, a fundamental shift in allowing students to express their thought process. So that's the big way. And also, if you love LaTeX, we have a great, if you want to learn LaTeX, our prediction component's still built over here. So I can even add in a lot of different things, and you can learn what the LaTeX is. So I hope you never have to use LaTeX, but if you love LaTeX, that's great. So it's also available in forms, sheets, slides, and drawings. I'm going to just jump in. I already pre-baked a form here. It's really great if you have the extension installed and you want to do a question. You can literally click the little magic insert math button. So if you click that box, Equatio pops up and allows me to use that same experience and insert math in the question, or also inside the math multiple choice response. But I want to just jump over to see what it looks like from a student side. And this is where the power of a Chrome extension comes in versus an add-on, because add-ons are only for the creation and not for the response. So here I can actually respond to this by clicking the little button. It'll pop up. If I don't want it, I could close that, but I could also pop it up here and then allow me to put in my response. So for the handwriting recognition, I can say if I want to solve that quadratic, I can then say it's going to be x plus 2, the quantity squared equals 0, and then it doesn't like my big X's there. I can even, my handwriting is horrible. I can scratch those out and put it in there. Let me just start over on that, sorry. X plus 2, the quantity squared equals 0, and I can say that's x plus 2 equals 0. I could do plus or minus there, but I'm not for the fun of it. And then x equals negative 2. And you can see that it thought my second line there was y plus 2, so I can even just go down there and correct it in real time, and it'll put it in there. So then when I put insert, it actually inserts that as my form response. So when I submit that on the other side for the form, I can then see that in my response summary. So I can see that entire thought process there. So I'm really excited for the formative assessment possibilities and allow students to respond their entire thought process as a form response. So that's really great. Also, it's I'm sorry.
So there's some great questions, and by the way, you just blew me away that you changed the Y to an X and it live updated it on the typed part. That was amazing. Everybody in the chat has these amazing comments about this new product, but a couple of questions are coming out. So question number 1 from Cheryl: if teachers create math assessments in Google Slides, for example, can the math to speech work with read and write to read the equations to the student?
So currently in Slides, the read and write part does not read aloud. So it does just the screenshot reader, but we're working on that. And I think by back to school, it will. So like right now, if I tried to read it out, it doesn't read out the math in Slides right now.
Potato makes it easy.
So, but I think by back to school, we should have that worked out where it will be accessible, because that's one of our main things, is to make it accessible wherever we have it.
Oh, excellent. That's great news. Is that like NDA? Are we all like under some type of like licensing agreement now? Because there's a lot of us watching.
Yeah. So if you tweet it out, I might have to hunt you down and, you know, make you sign an NDA or something. No, that's yeah. I'm new to this thing, so my boss gives me a lot of, you know, leeway on those things. So.
Oh, okay. And there was another really great question in here. People want to know, how much is the premium Equatio?
Sure. So we have 3 different pricing structures. There's a single user license, which is $100, but the group license is $10 a student, and that's a minimum of, I think, $150. But if you go domain wide, it's $1 per student, and then we give a 25% discount if you also are a read and write subscriber. So it could be as cheap as 75 cents a student.
Great. And I just want to say, Jamie Malaeus in the chat says that she has literal goosebumps right now.
That is so awesome. Literally every morning I get up and play with our new build, and I'm like, I geek out. It's so exciting to, like when we got it in drawings, it's just, for me, is so awesome.
Great. Well, I'm going to pass the mic back over to you then.
Cool. Yeah, so I don't want to take up too much more time. I do just want to say how the slides, we work in the same exact user flow. You can do any of the same things. One thing I do love is that I can go from prediction over here, and I've used prediction now all the time. I never use the plus key. I just hit PL enter. But then I can even come down here and then handwrite if I want. So I can drag myself for more space, and I can handwrite, and I can also go into speech as well. So then I can just say that it's X. I can then go to speech and equals 0. So I can then start from one and go to the other and be a multimodal representation. So I think that's really cool to start with one, because that's exactly how I make my emails. And then the last thing I want to say is I can take any of these and I can copy and paste into my favorite graph, or go to desmos.com, and I can literally copy and paste anything we make in Equatio and put it into Desmos as well. So that's a little bonus ninja tip for all of you people watching in here to see. So the same exposure works in slide sheets and drawings. I'm really excited about that. And Emily keeps asking me if it works with, if I insert a drawing in here. And so we're working on getting that thing, that integration into this. It doesn't work quite yet in a drawing embedded in a doc, but we're trying to get that done. And please hit us up. I didn't talk about the chemistry prediction, but we have all types of chemical components that are in there. Like literally, if it's a notational thing, we are trying to put it in there. One of the things that one of our users came out with this was nuclear notation, and she was from Tennessee, so I guess we put Tennessean is the newest one. So we just keep adding on more new and new notation. So if there's a notational thing that's really difficult to do, we want to make it easy to make it digital. And then all of that, we want to make it accessible. So I've taken up way too much time. I keep talking. I'll throw it back to Lisa and then give it back over to Emily as well.
Yeah, so John, turn off your screen sharing for a sec so we can see you. But great question for you. Can you copy and paste equations into Google Forms?
You can, it won't, if you copy and paste, it gives the underlying LaTeX. So you can paste into a doc, and then you can copy that to put in an equation with forms, but you can't directly copy them into forms. So the answer is no. But you could, like if you had Equatio open in docs, copy what's in Equatio in docs and then put it in a form response wherever Equatio is open.
So if there's a feedback button, I think everybody in the chat's going to be putting that in the feedback because they're loving this so much.
Awesome. Yeah, so in Equatio, the little blue menu, there's a feedback button, and that does a form response and goes directly to me anytime you submit it. And I'll probably email you back within minutes or definitely within that day. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks so much, John.
No,
I'm going to pass the microphone over to Kyle.
Awesome. Thanks so much there, John. That was really interesting. Thanks so much. I've been waiting to get my personal tour. So I just got my personal tour there. I've just been watching videos to this point and goofing around myself. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a screen share on my end as well. And I want to talk to you about, let's hop over. Where did it go? Here it is. How's that looking, friends? Pretty good?
Yep.
Good.
All right, perfect, excellent. So I'm going to share a tool called KnowledgeHook Game Show. And speaking about Emily being from Ontario, myself being from Ontario, we've got a company, a startup called KnowledgeHook from Ontario, out of Waterloo, just outside Toronto. And they've got a free tool that's more or less I like calling it the Kahoot for math. And there's tons of reasons why I really like this tool for math class. And I've never used Kahoot in my math classroom. And one of those main reasons was the timer. I really don't like rushing students and ultimately stressing them out in math class. It can be a stressful place for some students coming in when they aren't confident. So to add a timer to that really doesn't make them feel very good. So these guys have come up with a great solution, and I want to sort of show it off to you tonight. And I also want you to actually be the student. So if you do have your own device, your own mobile device, or if you just have a Chromebook and you want to open up a new tab, we're going to actually have you join a KnowledgeHook Game Show in just a moment. So the link on the screen currently is where you'd register for an account. We're not going to do that here. We're going to move to the next slide, and I'm actually just going to give you a quick little rundown of what it looks like on my end. And then we're going to actually formally run a game show for you. So on my screen right now, I've actually opened up a game show, which is essentially a series of questions. I've created a custom game show. However, they actually give you free math content built into the web-based tool. So you can sign up for a free account and actually use this tomorrow by simply going and looking for the content you want in their archive. They have it organized by Ontario curriculum currently, but I believe the Common Core is coming shortly. And again, you could just go and sort of, search for whatever topic you're looking for, be it fractions or something else. So on my end, I get an option to make this a competitive game show or a non-competitive. I'm going to go non-competitive. It's Wednesday night. We want to have some fun here. I've also made it easy for guests to play so that I don't force you into making an account. We also have time turned off, which again is an option I love. And then finally, uploading solutions, which is the part that I really love for my math class. So we're going to actually get you folks to jump into my game show. And here's how you're going to do it. You guys are going to actually go ahead and go to khmath.com /play, just like you see on the screen right now. And you're going to be entering in this class code Guru2447. And when you do that on my screen, I'm going to start seeing you actually join my game show. So go ahead and head to that link now. And I'm going to be switching my screen share here to my actual game show window while you do that as well. So I'm going to give you a moment to head to that link. Again, any device will work, any browser will work. And I'm encouraging you to use a mobile device. I see some folks jumping in now. Oh, lots are flying in now, which is great. I will be coming back to you with this code in just a moment, so don't panic if the screen goes away here. I just want to share a different screen before we actually start this game show so that you can see what it actually looks like. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm just going to switch up my screen share. And here we go. Hopefully that doesn't interrupt things too much. There we are. So this is what I see on my end. I see a bunch of you jumping in here. If there's somebody who put something inappropriate, not that anyone tonight would do that, but if let's say there was an inappropriate name, I could actually just click on your name and I could boot you out of the room if there was something inappropriate going on. I can also press play and feel confident that up in the top right hand of my screen, which would be projected in the classroom, you would see the web address as well as the class code. So if the principal comes into class and wants to join in with your math class, they can pull out their smartphone, they could pull out their iPad, or even bring their Chromebook and sit on down and join you. So what I'm going to have you folks do is watch the video that has appeared on your screen. I've actually embedded a Vimeo video, and when you go ahead and play that video, I'll do it on my end as well. You can go full screen. And then what I'm asking you is to type in what you notice or what you wonder in the text box. You can only put in one option currently, although I have asked them and begged them to put in multiple responses. So that's going to be a feature coming in. I could see one person's got a solution locked in. And again, I'll play it on my end just in case for whatever reason on your end you're struggling to run the video. And we've got a few people locking in. Don't have to get too elaborate here. No essays, just point form, something you notice or wonder. And then we'll go ahead and I will end the question. So still think about those noticings and wonderings. In my classroom, I also want to encourage mathematical discourse. So students are not silent when this is happening. I want them talking with neighbors. I want them collaborating with each other. I don't want it to be a silent place where you can hear a pin drop. So I'm going to go ahead, just because of time, I'm going to hit end question here. We've got 24 in, which is great. We could actually go through some of these, jot some down on the whiteboard as we're going along. So is it Christmas time? We saw some tree decorations in there. I see, I noticed the door closing slowly. What's the temperature? How much longer did it take for the door to close? All kinds of great noticings and wonderings that can spark some provocations in my math classroom. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to have you watch the second video, which should now be coming down to your device. If it hasn't come down yet, just go ahead and hit the refresh button. And we're going to have you watch the video. I'm going to go full screen so you can check this out. And the question I want you to think about is, what would the distance time graph look like for this particular video? Now, in my classroom, I'm probably not leaping straight to here yet. I'm probably going to have a little bit more of a lead up, but we're really stuck on a time. What you can do on your end now is you can actually sketch down a graph on your paper and take a photo of this using the upload solution button, or you can even take a screenshot, take this image here that I've provided you, bring it into whatever annotation tool you'd like, Google Draw. If you're on an iPad, you can bring it into GoodNotes, whatever you want to do, and you can actually take a screenshot. And when you're ready to upload a solution, go ahead and click the button, I'm ready to upload my photo, and press submit. And you should see a yellow bar appear on your screen that gives you the option to upload a photo. So what I'm doing right now is crossing my fingers that somebody out there is going to be brave enough to upload a photo Even if it's not the math, I just want to show off the feature for you. So go ahead and take a photo. It might just be of your dog who's staring at you funny because you're excited right now that you're at the computer, and everyone's celebrating that we finally have a really cool tool for math class. Take a photo of whatever you'd like. You'll notice on my screen, I see a green little button pop up here. It says solution uploaded. So I know that at least one person has uploaded a solution. We've got some more coming in. You guys are my favorite, which is wonderful. It would have been really sad if nobody wanted to take the plunge here. And the benefit I love here is that even if I'm not standing up using vertical non-permanent surfaces in the classroom, students can share their thinking and I can quickly bring them up to the screen. So while for a number of years I was using Apple TV in order to share iPad screens, or you might use Chromecast or something like that. Now I don't have to worry about a streaming issue or any issues like that. I'm going to go ahead and end this question, show you what I see. You'll notice that I have 6 solutions opened, and even after I end this question, you can continue to upload your solution. So when I click on that, I can actually see an anonymous image of what you've uploaded. Now I can reveal who this is, but in class, typically I have the students sort of reveal if they want. I don't want to put them on the spot. I might have another student describe what's going on here. Like, you know, what does the x-axis represent for this person, do you suppose? I can go ahead and continue scrolling. Look, this person brought this into, looks like maybe it might have been Keynote by just the look of that line there. So I've got more images coming in. This one looks like maybe something from Desmos or something like that. Awesome. So I can continue to scroll through and share your thinking.
Kyle, big important question from the chat. Where it says show your work, can you only upload from the desktop? Because it would be great if kids could use their smartphones.
That's a beautiful question. And actually, I prefer if students are using smartphones or tablets because the camera's built in. So yes, you can use your smartphone. And you would hit that same button and it would just say, can we access your camera? You can snap it on the fly. So you don't actually have to like jump into different apps and take photos and jump to your photos and so forth. So I would definitely recommend mobile devices make this feature super easy. Whereas if you have a Chromebook or another type of laptop, now you might be accessing either something digital to manipulate, or you might have to actually use the webcam, which sometimes can be a little bit of a hassle. Awesome stuff. Thanks, friends, for joining me here on this journey and uploading so many solutions. 14 solutions uploaded, which is great. Finally, what we can do is actually insert content slides. So on your screen now, if it hasn't shown up yet, you should see this content slide if you refresh, and you actually can embed some learning along the way. So it doesn't just have to be question-based. Now I can share a 3rd act to my 3-act task so you can actually see what this question looks like. So a lot of really, lots of flexibility in this app, and it seems like every day something new seems to be coming up. So again, I would then continue my lesson having students now select a graph instead of maybe drawing their own from one of those selected or appearing on your screen now based on the new video of me walking back towards the door. What might that graph look like? And then you would lock in your answer. So lots of flexibility. I can upload photos, I can embed video, and again, there's all kinds of built-in content. Tonight I showed you custom content, so I can do this from scratch, or I can actually grab some questions that are already in the tool as well as create my own, and they give you full-fledged reports at the end as well, so that if I don't have a chance to go around to every single student that day, I can actually check their uploaded solution and leave them some feedback afterwards. So I'll cut this question off here, and we can see 27% of you picked the, or now it's up to 31%, nicely done. That graph of that straight line heading down. Some students might argue that one of the other graphs could work, based on their interpretation. And that, my friends, is KnowledgeHook. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the game. There's our celebratory little animated GIF that should appear on your screen. So that's because we're not competing against each other. And over 75% of the class got that last question right. One of the last couple questions right, which is great. And then you're able to leave some feedback, leave some comments. So if something didn't work well for you, you just toss it in here and they get back to you right away. And I'll go ahead and end this so you can see what the reporting looks like. So here's your back end with your reports. I can click view, and I've got all kinds of wonderful data to work with to help me guide my instruction for the next day in my classroom. So with that, my friends, that's my little piece. I'm going to hand it back over to Lisa, unless there's other questions from the chat.
Yeah, Kyle, we have a couple of questions. How do the levels work in the game?
Excellent, excellent. So the leveling, there's actually 2 tiers here. For Game Show, they have experience points. So you get points for participating. You also get points for correct answers. But you also they have a paid product, which is sort of an independent practice. So those two features would actually merge, and the points would accumulate based on the work students do at home, as well as the work they do in the classroom. So for me on my end, I get to actually just see a typical teacher report, but for the students, they get a gamified sort of perspective when they play the Game Show in class.
Thanks, Kyle. So if you want to turn off screen sharing, we were able to share the questions along the way. So I want to thank everybody for attending tonight. Twitter's been blowing up and the chat's been blowing up. I'm on slide 24 now, folks, and you'll see there a link again to get to the slide deck. If you haven't already, please let me go ahead and screen share here. Let's see. Please go ahead and complete that online form for a chance to win a free course, because we're going to do the drawing for it in just a minute. I want to talk just a minute about EdTechTeam Online. Many of you know that we offer courses in science, in accessibility, in all of G Suite. But did you know that we offer a math and G Suite course? It's a 15-hour flexible course just in time. You can take it on a Sunday. You can take it over the course of many weeks in your pajamas with a cup of coffee, or hey, even a cup of wine. Oh, sorry about that. This is just switching back and forth for me. I also wanted to bring to your attention that we have a 3-course bundle for math. We call it the Math Wizard. It's available right now with really great pricing for all 3 courses, Math and G Suite, Forms and Sheets, and a new one, Advanced Spreadsheets. And I have to tell you, after watching these 3 math wizards go through all of this, I'm definitely going to be taking the Advanced Spreadsheet course myself, because I feel like I don't know what I don't know, and I need to look into it. So you can learn more and stay connected with EdTechTeam. I saw lots of folks on Twitter saying, I didn't even know EdTechTeam did these webinars. We do them once a month, the second week of the month, and I'll be announcing soon our webinar for July. So you can follow us on Twitter, on Google+. Please join our community or take a look at our website at edtechteam.com. I have linked to everything that you need that goes along with this webinar. We've got a link to the archive webinar on YouTube, and I'm also going to embed it on slide 2. As soon as we stop streaming live, I'm going to copy and paste our entire chat and link to the archive chat right there. If you would like John to come to your district, if you'd like Kyle to come to your district, if you'd like Emily to come to your district, click Request a Math Workshop, and we will make that happen for you. And if you would like 1 hour of professional development, please click Get Your PD Certificate. So, last chance, everyone. I see our submissions right here, and about 20 more people have submitted for the free online course. And Emily, if you can just help me out for a second, I'm going to copy and paste everybody's name, put it into a random name picker. And Emily, if you would announce the winner as soon as I paste them in there.
Sounds good.
Actually, I have to put the names in there first, which is always funny when I leave that out. Pasting them in there right now and saving.
The anticipation's building.
I know, I'm sorry. I feel really bad. That's why I asked you for help. I'm going to save that.
I love it.
Our random, you're going to hear it go again. And Do you guys hear the clicking?
We do.
We do. Our winner is Sarah Webster. So Sarah, we have your email. We're going to reach out to you and send you all the information that you need to get your free online course. Any closing words, Emily, John, or Kyle?
I was just looking at some of the questions, and I forgot to mention, which I always do. So anything that was in GMath will be free in Equatio. So in that docs part, like the speech input's free. So there's a lot of things. I know that there are some of the pricing things going on. So there's a lot of free parts in Equatio as well. So if you're using GMath, you should use Equatio, because everything that's in GMath free will be in Equatio for free. So nice.
Oh, great. Thanks, John. Anybody else have any closing words?
Well, just thanks for having me, Lisa, and it was great hanging out with a crew of awesome people online.
Oh, I really appreciate everyone's time tonight, and I wish you could hear the number of viewers that are in this webinar. I'm sure they're all applauding right now, and they actually asked what did we use for the random name generator, so I threw that in the chat as well. All right, on behalf of EdTechTeam and the Teaching and Learning team, I'd like to thank everybody for attending tonight. We'll be tweeting out and sending a follow-up email, and you have all of the resources, that every single resource we shared tonight. So thanks everyone, and have a good night.